Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
And we serve as the voice to the Choctaw Black community.
Again, we got Dr. Candace Matthews.
A lot of these documents, looking at.
We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media.
This country is supposed to be about the land of the free for all. It has not been free for Black people, and we are tired.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
The United States has expelled South African ambassador to the United States, Ebrahim Rasool, accusing him of hating Trump and America. Hello, African Diaspora News family. My name is Reneilwe Morema, and I am your host right here on the African Diaspora News channel. I'm reporting live from Johannesburg, South Africa. The United States has expelled South Africa's ambassador Ebrahim Rasool for making comments about Trump's racist policies and talking about America's changing racial landscape. Addressing a South African think tank, Rasool implied that Trump's leadership has undermined political stability and issued a warning on the growing influence of white supremacist forces around the world. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio labeled his remarks anti-American and race-baiting, declaring him persona non grata. The action heightens the already strained relationships between America and South Africa, which have been strained over matters such as land reform bill and South Africa's court case against Israel at the International Court of Justice.
Africa's ambassador after a right-wing news outlet reported that he said that Donald Trump was leading a white supremacist movement. Ebrahim Rasool has been given 72 hours to leave the country. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called Rasool, quote, a race-baiting politician who hates America and the president. The diplomatic row flared up after a U.S. media company reported the comments the ambassador made in an online discussion with a South African think tank. Tensions with the U.S. have been high, with Donald Trump recently freezing aid to South Africa.
I have a question for Americans, and I'm dead serious about this question. You guys make life-changing, drastic decisions on X. It seems like Marco Rubio heard what Ebrahim Rasool said, unplugged his phone from the charger and tweeted, and that was the final decision. No calling him to the White House to discuss, no confrontation, nothing. Just a simple life-changing, drastic decision tweet, and that's the business of the day. So, America, your government hails from the Twitter streets, from the Twitter status to the White House to the people. Am I correct when I make that analogy? If that's the case, Mr. President Cyril Ramaphosa, who bends over backwards for the United States and even meeting their garden mouse in shady hotel rooms, can clearly see what they think of us. They don't think we deserve proper diplomatic channels to converse with them. They don't offer us the courtesy to speak to them in proper settings. Just a simple tweet and off we go. It's crazy how the former U.S. ambassador to South Africa, Ruben Brigitte, accused us of supplying weapons to Russia in their war with Ukraine, but the government didn't announce on Twitter and call him a lying dirty snake as they should have, to be honest. Instead, we engaged with him respectfully. Why can't we be offered the same courtesy? This is how low they think of us, Mr. President. Why should we stress ourselves over a country that thinks less of us? Is it because of this AGOA nonsense that serves white people's interest? How many black commercial farmers are there in South Africa? How many are participating in AGOA? Does the U.S. know what happens to the black people that are employed in these white farms? Being paid below the minimum wages, working 12 hours straight, no bathroom breaks, no lunch breaks, no speaking to each other in the indigenous languages of South Africa. They are locked in farm prisons, forced to sleep in pig sties, forced to share a plate of food with horses in the stables, beaten if they don't meet the minimum requirements for their workload. These are the realities of black people who are employed or are working on these white farms. The Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, is aware of this. I'm surprised the DA is not calling out AfriForum for not telling the real truth of who is really oppressed at these farms. The police and the minister, John Steenhuisen, know the exact number of black people that died at the farms in comparison to the white farmers that claim to be massacred. Anyway, back to the issue at hand about Marco Rubio tweeting that Rasool is no longer welcomed in the United States and that he is a persona non grata for being a race baiter. Okay. What do you call someone that rolls out the red carpet for South African white farmers and also pumping millions of dollars in mass deportations of brown people and other Africans that came to the US to sort out refuge from their war-torn countries? Isn't that being racist? Rasool's greatest sin is speaking to the Mapungube Institute Mistra here in South Africa about the global moment we are experiencing right now and saying Trump was heading a white supremacist movement. I mean, he's not wrong. He's just speaking the truth. Marco Rubio tweeted earlier this year that he will not be attending G20 summit held in Johannesburg, South Africa because, wait for it, South Africa is doing very bad things. Apparently, those very bad things we are doing are the themes of the G20, which is solidarity, quality, and sustainability. South Africans, for those who do not know who Marco Rubio is, or you've heard of him, but you couldn't figure out why he's so hell-bent in destroying South Africa. Here's my theory on that. There's my theory on that question. Marco Rubio is not your typical Republican. His parents and grandparents were from Cuba and not necessarily legal immigrants either, and some of his family was deported from the USA to Cuba. This loser Rubio ran for president back in 2016 against Trump, and he was very critical about Trump and even sharing the same sentiment with Ebrahim Rasool about Trump being a white supremacist, and at some point supported Ukraine. But since joining the cult of Trump, he has done a 360 change and now spends his time praising Trump's most egregious decisions, including his actions against Ukraine. So why is Rubio obsessed with South Africa? I think it's because his conscience is torturing him right now. When Donald Trump instructed Rubio to withdraw US aid overnight, federal workers sat Rubio down and told him, if you're going to do it the way you are planning on doing it, 1 million children who are being treated for severe malnutrition will die. 166,000 people will certainly die from malaria, and over 200,000 children will be paralyzed by polio. And those numbers don't even touch a fraction on the impact of HIV. Now, stick with me as I tell Marco Rubio a new one. This man has over 1 million lives on his conscience. All for what? To be part of the Trump's cult for financial gains? I hate politicians that operate on an empty stomach, latching onto anything to keep their pocket filled. If anything, his flip-flop mentality makes him a liability to the Trump administration. Someone that can flip-flop overnight lacks loyalty and integrity. Trump is probably in the Oval Office with Elon Musk and JD Vance, laughing at him for making him their bitch, making him do the heavy lifting, having blood on his hands to prove himself. And what makes it worse, he is a Latino man. And we all know the white supremacists don't regard people of color for anything. So they're probably saying he lacks integrity and loyalty anyway. He's desperate to be part of us. So let us make him commit human rights violations just so he can prove himself. And when we are bored of him, we'll take him to the gutters, dispose of him. That's what they think of people of color, by the way. You see, in Trump's situation, Trump can be at ease with Elon and Vance because they've been showing their asses to him from day one. They've never changed their stance. Even before he was president, they never changed who they were. And as a person, that kind of personality makes you a loyal and trustworthy person. A man who doesn't have a backbone, does not have a stance, goes where the wind blows, and lacks integrity is fit to be a busboy, a bitch like Rubio. Rubio is under pressure to please his white masters by acting out of character. He has over 1 million lives on his conscience, potentially, and I think he's under a lot of pressure, and South Africa is an easy target. South Africa is DEI personified. South Africa stands for those values: diversity, equity, inclusion, solidarity, equality, and sustainability. And they hate us for standing for those values, those humane values that makes us who we are. And the ambassador boldly standing up for South Africa and those values rubbed Rubio the wrong way. He got jealous because he used to be like that to the Latinos, the Cubans, the Spanish-speaking people. He used to advocate for them in the adversary of the white supremacists. His grandparents and parents know the wrath of the white supremacy government. So for him to side with the very thing that denied his parents the opportunity for a better life kind of sucks. He's a sellout, and the brown people should be as ashamed to have such a person in their community. Like, honestly speaking, you guys, flip-flopping just to fill your pockets, being a sellout, when your people have put you in a high standard, in a high level thinking, saying, oh my God, here's a person of our kind, of our community in the government. He'll surely advocate for us so we can have peace. But instead, he's sitting there watching Donald Trump deport them back to their war-torn countries. And he's just sitting there. So I'm so sorry to say this, but Rubio has inferior complex situation happening within him. He's jealous that our ambassador Ebrahim Rasool is standing up for the values of South Africa that they're always preaching in the G20 summit. He's standing up for those values, and he's jealous that he used to be that for the Spanish-speaking people, and now he's nothing. He's just a sellout person who is looking to, I don't know, benefit wherever he can benefit. What do you think about this segment? Comment to us in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and share the broadcast. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss these groundbreaking conversations right here on the African Diaspora.